A Lenten Meditation on the Wednesday after the third Sunday of Lent, the price of our redemption. You are bought with a great price. 1 Corinthians 6:20. The indignities and sufferings anyone suffers are measured according to the dignity of the person concerned. If a king is struck in the face, he suffers a greater indignity than does a private person. But the dignity of Christ is infinite, for he is a divine person. Therefore, any suffering undergone by him, even the least conceivable suffering, is infinite. Any suffering at all, then, undergone by him without his death, would have sufficed to redeem the human race. St. Bernard says that the least drop of the blood of Christ would have sufficed for the redemption of all of us. And Christ could have shed that one drop without dying. Therefore, even without dying, he could, by some kind of suffering, have redeemed, that is, bought back all mankind. Now in buying, two things are required: an amount equal to the price demanded, and the assigning of that amount to the purpose of buying. For if a man gives a price that is not equal in value to the thing to be bought, we do not say that he has bought it, but only that he has partly bought it, and partly been given it. For example, if a man buys for $10 a book that is worth $20, he has partly bought the book, and it has partly been given to him. Or again, if he puts together a greater price but does not assign it to the buying, he is not said to buy the book. If therefore we speak of the redemption and buying back of the human race, we have in view the amount of the price. For we must say that any suffering undergone by Christ, even without his death, would have sufficed, because of the infinite worth of his person. If, however, we speak of the redemption with reference to the setting of the price to the purpose in hand, we have then to say that no other suffering of Christ, less than his death, was set by God, and by Christ as the price to be paid for the redemption of mankind. And this was for three reasons. The first reason, that the price of our redemption should not be only infinite in value, but of the same kind as what it bought, i.e., that it should be with the death that he bought us back from death. Secondly, that the death of Christ would be not only the price of our redemption, but also an example of courage, so that men would not be afraid to die for the truth. St. Paul makes mention of this in the preceding cause when he says, quote, that through death he might destroy him who had the empire of death. This is the first cause. And might deliver them who through the fear of death were all their lifetime subject to servitude. This is the second cause. The Epistle to the Hebrews 2:14-15. The third reason, that the death of Christ might be a sacrament to work our salvation. We, that is, dying to sin, to bodily desires, and to our own will, through the power of the death of Christ. These reasons are given by St. Peter when he says, quote, Christ also died for our sins, the just for the unjust, that he might offer us to God, being put to death indeed in the flesh, but enlivened in the spirit. 1 Peter 3:18. And so it is that mankind has not been redeemed by any other suffering of Christ without his death. But, as a matter of fact, Christ would have paid sufficiently for the redemption of mankind, not only by giving his own life, but by suffering any suffering, no matter how slight. If this slight suffering had been the thing divinely appointed, and Christ would thereby have paid sufficiently because of the infinite worth of his person.